As Newsmax Prime continues tonight, we take note of an alarming trend in public schools involving indoctrination instead of education. Take a look at this. It's a privilege form given to middle school students asking about their, quote, privilege during a Spanish class. The form asked questions about race, sexual orientation, disabilities, and religion. The teacher said the goal was to educate students about inequality. But after an understandable display of outrage by parents, an investigation revealed this form was not part of any official lesson plan, and it was not authorized by the principal. Let's discuss this. And to talk about it and elaborate, we're very pleased to be joined via Skype by radio talk show host Sam Sorbo. Sam is also the author of the new book, They're Your Kids, an inspirational journey from doubter to homeschool advocate. Sam, we really appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime. How bad have public schools gotten?
Well, by their own admission, they've gotten very, very bad. And that's why they implemented Common Core. The problem is that Common Core is completely untested. So now they're telling us they're so bad they need a complete overhaul. So, and this thing that you're talking about that was a handout in the classroom, it might not have been approved, but unfortunately there's plenty that has been approved that they're teaching in our classes. For instance, the UN Declaration of Human Rights, they're teaching in our classrooms, which supersedes the Declaration of Independence and our founding documents. So they're indoctrinating our children away from the family, away from the parents, and into the Marxist progressive school system. I mean, it's terrible what's going on.
But what happens to parents? Because it seems there are two faces of education. When I served in Congress, the number of moms who would come in and take up the banner of public schools and some of the agenda, it was almost like hand in glove. And it was very easy for public schoolers to morph concern about kids into a political agenda. Why has that been able to work so successfully over the years?
Well, the teachers' unions are the largest political contributors, so they made it political. There are a lot of things that they've made political to silence dissent. And schools are one of them. School choice is now a political issue, and that's because they want to silence the dissent. But we still have the opportunity to homeschool in this country. And what I love about homeschooling, and the reason that I wrote my book is, you know, you are perfectly capable as the parent of schooling your child. The problem is that our education bureaucracy has taught us that we are inadequate. But what I say to parents who say, oh, I can't homeschool, I don't know the first thing, I say to them, you went to public school, you graduated high school, and yet you consider yourself incapable of teaching a third grader. So what does that say about our education system, which arguably is worse today than it was when you went to school, that it turned out someone who is incapable of instructing a third grader, and yet you're willing to put your children back into that system? You really have to think about this.
And so, Sam, in a very personal story, when you transitioned to become an advocate for homeschooling, was there one experience in particular? And conversely, what was the biggest eye-opener you experienced encountering and deciding to take the path of homeschooling?
Well, the thing that really got me started thinking about it is we travel a lot. My husband's an actor, and so we travel. So we were on a trip, and I just somehow transformed into the substitute teacher because I took all the work from the school with us, and my kids were doing the work, but I got pushback from my children, from my oldest, who was telling me, well, my teacher doesn't make us do that. And I'm like, your teacher gave this to me for you to do. And then at the same time, I looked at the work that they had given him, and I was dissatisfied with that level of work for my son. So it was sort of twofold. And then as I entered into the homeschool realm, I realized it's not rocket science. It's just not that difficult. They have a monopoly on it, and they shouldn't.
And from my experience, when I was in Congress, the greatest constituency showing up at town hall meetings, being involved and interested, parents and the kids, they were homeschooling. Sam Sorbo, thanks so much for insights on your new book. The name of Sam's book, again, They're Your Kids, an inspirational journey from doubter to homeschool advocate. Our thanks to Sam, and we'll be back after